Welcome along to HRZN Racing League Season 5 Round 3 highlights from the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. These are highlights for the sprint event. My name's Chris, otherwise known as Screamlight, taking you through the action. And before we continue, just a couple of driver changes to keep you up to date with. Real Max World and Steadfast had to drop to reserve. Baza therefore moves to Ferrari, while Mago 6442 returns to the reserve pool. We've had Bahrain and Qatar so far, Sandro Wagner taking wins at both. And after this event at Emilia-Romagna, we've got China, Britain, Miami, Saudi Arabia, Austria, Portugal and Abu Dhabi confirmed, with a randomised round at round 7. As we said there, Sandro Wagner took the win in Qatar by 6 seconds from Scornful Griffin. Real Max World took 3rd. I'm Your Mate took 4th. Tommy Ash took Driver of the Day at 5th place. The Scottish took the fastest lap but was outside of the points, so won't claim any bonuses. In the driver's standing, Sandro Wagner leads by 16 points ahead of Scornful Griffin. Tommy Ash is in 3rd, while defending champion I'm Your Mate is down in 5th. Few guys with zeros, but that will change as the season goes. In Split 1, Scornful Griffin leads the way by 3 points over Tommy Ash, who's 7 clear of I'm Your Mate. 6 Pompano and Baza currently in the drop zone. In Split number 2, Sandro Wagner leads the way from Real Max World at the end of Qatar, but with driver changes, Max and Steadfast will drop out, so Senna should move up into P2 depending on results here. And in the Constructors, Mercedes lead the way by 24 points over Aston Martin. RB a further 3 points behind, and Alpine got points on the board in the last round, but prop up the table. So the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, otherwise known as Imola, circuit we all know and love. Let's take a little look around the place now. 4.909 kilometres, 19 turns, 12 to the left, 9 to the right. Michael Schumacher has the most wins here with 7. And we are racing at a circuit that returned to the calendar in 2020. Heading up to Variante Bassa, the right-hand kink at turn 1. You've just got to keep the DRS open and the throttle pinned through here as you head down to Tamburello. You want to get curb on entrance, middle and exit here, but not too much else. Those sausage curbs will fling you off into the barriers. Head on down to Villeneuve. You want to carry a fair amount of speed through the first, let the car roll and then get a braking point mid-corner, taking a little bit of the curb on the outside, nice and tight at Tosa the hairpin. Get a nice drive back up the hill before heading towards Piratella. Fairly quick left-hand corner, but you do have to ease off just a bit to avoid going too far wide on exit. And then heading down to Acqua Minerale, double right, fast through the first part, brake in the middle, and make sure you don't run too wide on exit of the second. Up towards Variante Alta, sausage curbs on the inside of the chicane will throw you off, so take it nice and steady. Don't get too wide once again, track limits very easy to brake here. And then finally, head on down to Ravazza, carry as much speed as you can before braking heavily. Get out wide on the midpoint of the corner, and out wide again, but not too far else you'll hit gravel. And then that is another lap complete. But let's take a look at the grid for the sprint race here. The Scottish takes pole from Tommy Ash. Jimmy Alex is in 3rd with I'm Your Mate 4th. Sandro Wagner in 5th. Jacob 6th. Senna, Scornful Griffin, Syme and Andy complete the top 10. Mago, Boogie, Perpetual, Zabasaurus, Baza, Vampire and Bunny's Vengeance, rounding out the 17 that will take the grid here for the sprint race. So, first sprint of the season, let's get into the action. One, two, three, 4 and 5 And away we go for the first sprint event of the season. And from what we can see, because Formula One cameras, the RBs have got away well, but I'm Your Mate looks to be coming around the outside. It's almost 4 wide into Tamburello. I'm Your Mate's off into the weeds. The Scottish has managed to get through. Jimmy has actually passed his brother, and Sandro now trying to move forward. The RBs side by side into Villeneuve. Tommy sweeps past and manages to just about get through. DJ Davasaurus to the back. Vampires move forward. Perpetual and Boogie in the mid-pack. Let's jump on board with Tommy Ash off the start. Little slow on the getaway. Gets a little bit of wheel spin into the second phase. Before he knows it, he's got an RB to the left and a Ferrari to the right. Wall just gets a little bit too tight into Tamburello. A little bit of wheel contact, and I'm Your Mate is off into the gravel. And on the exit, the two RBs come together. But as they head up towards Villeneuve, they arrange it in the background, and Tommy goes off chasing. With the other RB now over Jimmy, real high revs off the start, but gets a much better second phase, doesn't quite bog down as much, and before anybody knows it, he's up the inside and he's alongside his teammate. As everybody comes together though, you can see it all just gets a little too tight through Tamburello, and then you see the kick of oversteer as the contact is made on the exit. A bit of early braking going into Villeneuve, and Tommy is through. With I'm Your Mate now, much better launch than the two RBs. It gets right up alongside, already clipping the grass before we even get anywhere near Tamburello. Wheel contact over the curbing, through the gravel, and then gets caught by Jacob in the Haas as well. A little bit of underfloor damage, falling further back as he goes, but keeps it clean through Villeneuve. And we're on board with Bunny's Vengeance, the Alpine driver driving the Williams in this particular race, getting a real good start, and all of a sudden is right through the middle, picking up places quickly as he goes. Keeps it nice and tidy, tries his best to keep the space he's got. There will be all of the contact up ahead, a little kick of oversteer as Bazza goes through on the inside. But heading up to Villeneuve, Bunny's made a nice clean start and is safe as the Aston Martin goes off. And he retains his own little bit of road. Let's ride on board with Syme. He's up there with Jacob. Again, one of our fast... Where on earth did I'm Your Mate just come from? He's managed to get through at Piratella. That's a hell of a move. Let's look at that move on board with I'm Your Mate. Just finds the gap and has a little bit better speed, gets through at Ravazza, but then gets into the back of Jacob at Aqua Minerale, picks up some front wing damage for his treble. It's going to affect him going into the chicane at the top of Variante Alto, and as you can see, he gets all drifty. On board with Bunny's Vengeance though, back down at Toaster, you'll see just trying to keep up with the pack, trying to make sure that he's safe, but then there's a little incident up ahead. Bazza gets into the back of Boogie and catches his own front wing damage as well. Let's take a look with Bazza as he goes through Tosa. Everybody up ahead just trying to work themselves out through this first lap. But heading up to the kink, just gets in a little too hot, straight into the back of Boogie's Red Bull, picks up front wing damage, keeps it clean through the next couple of corners, and then a little wide of Aqua Minerale, but a little later on, as you can see, into Variante Alta, again, just gets his braking all wrong, goes into the back of the Red Bull, and completely takes out the left hand side of that front wing. That's going to need repairing.
Recommend you box for a new one. Box now.
Right on board with Jimmy. Down into the final couple of corners as Bunny goes past Boogie a bit further back. And we're back with Bunny's Vengeance as he chases down Boogie's line. Looking like he's got a little bit of overspeed on the Red Bull, but gets through Aqua Minerale really neatly. And then it's just a traction race off the corner. He's past the Red Bull before we're down to Ravazza. Really cleanly done. DRS is enabled, a 16.2 from the Scottish as he begins to run away a little bit at the front. Jimmy's going to have DRS. Jacob is in. I think he's got damage, or he might be looking at retiring. Let's have a look. Senna being held off there by Jimmy. Really nice defensive driving into Tamburello as Jacob continues to fall back. Vampire making more moves further back, this time on Perpetual. It's a good recovery from 17th up to 11th, but it's still a few places to points just yet. Let's move a bit further forward because Jimmy's lost the DRS and Senna goes by and Scorn follows through as well. Scorn going to go try and go up the inside at Tamburello. No, he won't quite make it. That was a hell of a move. Bazano with a 3-second time penalty at the back. All right on board with Jimmy for that action with Senna and Scorn. Looking pretty clean at Ravazza, but is at the front of the queue, and DRS really powerful heading up towards Tamburello. You'll see on the left hand side through goes the Sabre, and then Scorn is there without even hesitation. But as they get into Tamburello, Jimmy does look around the outside but can't make it. As I said, it is easy to do here, just thanks to how the track limits are. The Scottish, a couple of seconds up the road. We're watching Sandro now. The battle's here between sort of 2nd and 7th, 8th. Sino a little further off. He's currently holding on to that final points paying position in the sprint. Looking fairly comfortable as well. As it stands, as I'm Your Mate has gone past Jimmy. Down into Aqua Minerale. Back on board with I'm Your Mate here. Jimmy getting a bit of a drift out of Piratella. Gives I'm Your Mate the opportunity. Up the inside at the first part of Aqua Minerale. Keeps it clean through the next couple. Well within track limits. And he's off chasing after the Aston and kick Sabre ahead. I think he's done it fairly cleanly. Jimmy, though, is going to try and come back behind. Doesn't manage it. Let's move back with I'm Your Mate. First time it wasn't an I'm Your Mate Sandro Wagner first row here in the sprint, as Dabasaurus now nets some penalties further back. Only 3 seconds for all those guys at the back as it stands, but we're only on lap 5. This race already pretty much at half distance. As Scorn does have the DRS here. Can he hold I'm Your Mate back with that? Doesn't look to make a move into Tamburello. That's probably sensible. There's a little too far back as Vampire moves past Andy. Let's ride on board with Bunny to watch Vampires move on Andy. It all starts right up at Variante Alta, the two of them getting into it. Bunny then tries to be opportunistic and take the gap on the left before getting onto the grass. Gets a little bit wiggly but survives it. But as you'll see, down into the final couple of corners at Ravazza. Nice and clean from Vampire up ahead. And Andy just out of the DRS of the car in front, really a sitting duck down into Tamburello. Bunny will try and make it a 3-way scrap into that chicane though, but Vampire already passed Andy. Bunny not quite getting there in time. He's making moves back there. I'm Your Mate though, trying to make a move up into Villeneuve. Close, but not quite close enough. Jimmy will want to try and stay on the back of this pack, because if there are any incidents, as Bunny goes past Andy, have we had an off for Andy? I think we have. He's just returning to the circuit. Let's ride on board with Andy Rood, and he almost gets into the back of Vampire through Tamburello. Does compromise his exit a little bit. You'll see in the mirrors there that Williams coming through, Bunny making it nice and easy on the inside. A little contact, and then it's a big drift for Andy, letting Perpetual through as well. But he survives to fight another day. And we'll see that from on board of Bunny's Vengeance as well. He's right up behind the Haas, easily through before the corner. But just trying to slow it down, you'll see the tap and just a little wiggle. And then you'll see Andy in the background, almost sideways. Bunny and Vampire started down at the back. They've made their way forwards and may go now with warnings. 3-second time penalty. We saw him actually go wide as Vampire's going to make another move, or try to. They've collided. He was up the inside there. We weren't on board, but it did look pretty easily done there. Mago maybe just turning in a little late. And let's ride on board with Bunny as Boogie gets another 3 seconds. There's a battle up at the front as well, but this, as I'm Your Mate goes past Scorn and Senna. And Senna's been passed by Scorn as well. I'm going to have to pick that one up later on as Bunny goes past Mago. Will he get past Vampire? He's not quite close enough. Back on board with the Ferrari of I'm Your Mate, doing what I'm Your Mate does best. Gets the DRS out of Ravazza, and he's already up alongside Scorn before finding the gap with Senna as well. Makes it through nice and cleanly. Still under a little bit of pressure from Scorn, but blocks that corner off well and is off and away to try and chase the leaders. They are starting to stack up. Let's not forget it's 32 laps for the feature, so we could be seeing the race decided by time penalties as Scorn's gone. And he's out. Scorn is out. Let's see that DNF from Senna's POV. Both of them in Ravazza, both Scorn and Senna getting just a little wiggly under power, but Scorn just loses the rear end and he's into the barrier before he can stop it. An unfortunate DNF for one of our championship contenders.
Got too much back end on that corner.
Sandro's made it past Tommy up ahead, but Scorn makes a mistake coming out of the final couple of corners and he's in the wall. Race over for Scorn, that is unfortunate. With the RB of Tommy Ash here, no DRS to assist him with Sandro chasing him down behind. Scorn has obviously dropped out. There goes Sandro, fairly easy pass with the DRS. Tommy left to look at the back of that Mercedes. Bunny gets past Vampire a bit further back, or does he? Vampire and Bunny going side by side. Into Tamburello, they're still side by side. Vampire just about holds it, now holding on to the final point. Big drift from Bunny. Up into Tosa, but not able to squeeze away past. This could be a fun fight, that's for sure. Andy moves past Perpetual further back again, outside of the points in the sprint, but I don't think time penalties will quite play into it for those guys. On board with the Haas of Andy Rudin, getting a fairly good run up towards the first chicane, just in behind Perpetual, getting a really nice pull through DRS. Has to just take avoiding action to the back of McLaren.
Nice work,
But
mate.
he's
That puts
cleared
you up a
and
place.
through without too many problems. Play with Sandro. Easily moves past the Scottish. Tommy a little further back now. Oh, and the Scottish drifts. And he's down to third. Tommy now moves into second. The Scottish got a tank slapper going into Tamburello. Once again, on board with the RB of Tommy Ash heading up towards Tamburello. DRS so strong here as Sandro goes past the Scottish. Tommy looking to get involved in that battle and will close right up through the chicane. But as you can see, Scottish gets a little bit wide and Tommy picks up an easy pass. And that's cost him not only the lead but second place as well. Bazinet in another time penalty further back as Vampire goes past Syme. Bunny's going to try and go as well. 3 does not go into Villeneuve, but Bunny makes it. What a move that was. Quickly run back here to Bunny. Doesn't manage to get past into Tamburello, but might look Villeneuve again, because hell of a move on Simon the last lap. Looking really quick here, both in the points, as Andy made another mistake. Bunny now gets a time penalty. And he has indeed made another mistake. Let's have a look from Andy's POV what happened there. He's just got a little wide into Tamburello, clips the curbs on the inside of the second part of the chicane and is sideways into the gravel. Much like Qatar last week, trying to get back up to speed, just lights up the rears, taps into the wall, takes off the front wing, but with so little of this race left, he's just going to have to soldier on.
Damage, but not enough to justify a stop in the remaining laps.
Good.
It's kind of settled down apart from the top 3. Sandro now heading the queue. Tommy getting a better exit through Ravazza this time. Mago moves past Perpetual further back. Tommy's going to go for the lead here on the final lap of the race. Let's sit with Tommy. He's on the outside heading into Tamburello. Oh, there's contact. There is contact. And then the Scottish has gone into him as well. So Your Mate moves into third. Oh, that's going to be a tough one to call. So right on board with Tommy Ash for that titanic tussle. For the race win in the sprint. Getting right up behind Sandro towards Variante Bassa in the DRS. But you'll notice as soon as we get there, just absolutely on the limit, Sandro can keep pace, and you'll also notice another set of red arrows in the background as the Scottish tries to come through. Keep an eye on the mirrors as Sandro gets into Tommy, and then the Scottish gets into Sandro, leaving Tommy to just drive away. Be looking forward to seeing a few different angles on that one as further back Bunny has gone past Vampire, but has 3 seconds of time penalty, so will fall behind Vampire as long as they stay linked together here. It's back with Bunny to get onto that final lap, right up in behind Vampire, who's had a pretty decent run through the field. Both of them have at this point, but there's just the final lap to go. Much like many other passes in this race, DRS super powerful. Bunny gets right out of the slipstream right at the last second and is past Vampire into the first couple of corners. Tommy, as Bunny gets another 3 seconds, Tommy Ash will cross the line to win the sprint. Well, there's a Scottish now next to 3 seconds trying to chase down the guys in front. Sandro second, Your Mate third. The Scottish claims fourth on the road, but Senna will take fourth. Jimmy will move into fifth with Scottish's penalties. Bunny's got a few as well, so will drop further back. Vampire will claim seventh. Syme will claim eighth. Perpetual and Mago now heading towards the line together. Perpetual will cross the line ahead and stay ahead in 10th. Mago is 11th. So that was an action-packed sprint race of 11 laps at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Let's take a little look at those results. Tommy Ash takes the victory by 3 seconds over Sandro Wagner, with Your Mate taking third, Senna's fourth, Jimmy Alex is fifth, the Scottish is sixth fastest lap, but no bonus in the sprint, Vampire seventh, and DRS Syme takes the final sprint point. In the overall standings, it's a 20-point lead that Sandro has over Tommy Ash, with Soulful Griffin just 3 behind. A further 6 back to Your Mate, the defending champion. In split number 1, Tommy Ash takes the lead by 5 points from Soulful Griffin, with Your Mate a further 3 back, Pompano and Baza still in the drop zone. And in split 2, down to 8 drivers, but Sandro leads the way. Senna moves into second, with Mr. Pickle, Perpetual, Jimmy Alex, Lil Reeves, Dabasaurus and Rover behind. And constructors-wise, Mercedes extend their lead, and we have a new team at the bottom there, HRZN Racing, the reservists, on the board, but without any points yet. Thank you so much for joining me for the sprint race. The feature will have its own dedicated video, which I'll link up above for you, but do like and subscribe. I'll see you real soon.